I do recommend that you take this video outside with you and sit wherever you can outdoors and enjoy the nature with me while we talk about technology-based lifestyle choices. Hi, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome to my third video in the Sitting in Nature Talking About Game Dev series of mine. I just want to say thank you so much for all the beautiful, deep, long, heartfelt comments on my other two videos so far. It's really nice to hear all of your stories and struggles and beliefs and appreciation and whatever it is. So I hope this one is up to the same caliber as my other two videos. Today I'm talking about motivation and how I stay motivated, or how I deal with my unmotivated slumps and what I do to get out of them in the whole process of being a game developer and working on my projects. And this is important, especially if you're a solo developer or you're an indie developer and you're just trying to build your own thing on your own. It's one of our biggest struggles, is just staying motivated and making sure you get after it every day and not abandoning your work entirely. So I just wanted to start, since I'm sitting with this bamboo, I thought it was very appropriate because there's this story that I heard about a Chinese bamboo tree that when you plant the seed, it takes 5 years before the seed actually sprouts out of the earth. And then once it does, it grows super quickly, like within 3 months or something like that. And I just think it's a beautiful metaphor for just the human process and the human existence as well, and especially in our work and dealing with work and motivation. Sometimes we have to recognize when we're in the rooting phase, where we're building this kind of rooted foundation within ourselves, versus when we're in the sprouting phase. And these phases come in cycles and cycles. It's not just once and once. It's constantly, we go from sprouting to rooting to sprouting to rooting, and there's death in between there too. So we have to remember that sometimes when we aren't working and when we aren't feeling motivated and when we feel like we aren't doing anything, we might actually be in this rooting phase where we're kind of drawing in the sustenance that we need in order to do our next phase of sprouting. It's the same with any work cycle. Sometimes we just can't focus, we can't work, we can't feel like working. And sometimes we're working like super hyper productive flow state, like excited, so much done in one day, 1 week, whatever it is. So we just have to recognize these phases when they come and know that it's a cycle and that we will always get back to the next phase. It's never going to be consistent in any one phase. So I have, how many things? I have a little list here. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 different tips. And keep in mind, they don't all necessarily work together, but just listen to sort of how you're feeling, and whichever one feels best for you, choose that thing. The first thing I like to say to do is just take a proper break, a full break, an actual break. Not like a break where you're kind of half working, half procrastinating, or not a break where you're sitting there feeling guilty or thinking, oh, I should be working. Give yourself a day, a week, a month, whatever it is you need, where you say, I'm not even gonna think about game dev in this time. I'm not gonna feel like I should work in this time. I'm going to put it aside and leave it aside for this set duration of time. Allow it, and then go through that time and just take that time. Don't allow the feelings of guilt and don't allow the feelings of just, nope, this is my time to take a break, and take it properly, a proper break from game dev. This is not always easy, but it's very useful. Something else that I like to do to re-motivate myself is just starting a new little side project. And I know a lot of people have love-hate relationships with side projects. A lot of people condemn side projects. A lot of people have a lot of half-made, half-baked side projects. And I honestly think it's a great thing. I think it's cool and okay to start a project with no intention of finishing it, just to bang out some ideas, just to fiddle with some new concepts, just to like play around, play. It's fun, like learn something new. So don't be afraid to just spin up a new project, fiddle around with some things that you've never tried before, or something that's been in the back of your mind for a while that you haven't actually been letting yourself do. Look through your list of game ideas. I know you have one, everyone has one, and just start fiddling with something like that. Or even start working on something completely different than you're used to. Do some art or try to make music for a game, even if it's not your current game. Again, don't work on your current game, the project that you're feeling unmotivated about. Work on something different. My third tip is it's actually a very common habit forming tip that a lot of people use nowadays, where basically when you want to start a new habit or you want to progress or be consistent in a habit like game dev, just do 5 minutes. So just sit down and do very small tasks. Just sit down to do 5 minutes. And if the 5 minutes turns into longer than 5 minutes, great. But if you want to stop at 5 minutes, then allow yourself to stop at 5 minutes and then don't think about it again. And this, if you just do 5 minutes every single day, then at least you're still like in the momentum, you're putting down the time, you're setting aside the time for it, and you can allow it to be as long or as short as you want to be in that session. Another thing I like to do is, and this again depends on where you are in your motivation, but sometimes just watching someone else's devlog or even a tutorial on a new mechanic in the engine you're working with, something like this can be a little spark that's good for motivation. But however, some people can use this as a crutch to get themselves into kind of like a demotivated spiral where they're only watching videos and they're not actually working on their own projects. So you got to be careful with this one. But if you feel like if it's a light demotivation and you feel like not sure if I want to work today, sometimes just watching one video is enough to be like, oh yeah, ooh, and it just sort of sparks the ideas again and the excitement and the curiosity and all these good feelings that lead you back to your projects. Something else that I thought of that's kind of fun is, and I like to do this as well when I need a break from my computer, is pencil and paper game dev. So this is basically, you get a notebook and a pen or a pencil and you just write things with your hand on this piece of paper that you can touch. And sometimes it can be character design, it can be level design, it can be story writing, it can be like, you could write tweets that you want to send out for the week. You could write like a blog post by hand. You could write, you could do pseudocode or a finite state machine that you're building for your AI. Like all these things you can actually do by hand, draw diagrams, like just put your ideas on paper without actually having to get into the engine or get into the code or get into the modeling software or whatever. Just draw out some sketches, you know, make it pretty, make it fun, make it suit your thing, do some branding, I don't know, like logos, this kind of fun stuff that's like still kind of related to your game, but not necessarily the actual game creation. So this will feel like, okay, at least you're adding something to the project and you're not like, you could still feel good about what you're doing, and it also might spark some more excitement and ideas to bring you back to your project. Another thing that you could do is go into your game and record a bunch of screen recordings and screenshots of your game so far to use in future marketing efforts. So maybe you want to get like some really beautiful aesthetic screenshots, or you can do some playthroughs or just some gifts, and just like make a big folder of all this media that you can use in the future. And you can even write some posts, write out a bunch of them, and then when you feel in the future, you can just sort of schedule them or send out one every week or something like this. It'll be already done for you. So it's just something that you can do to help your marketing effort that will eventually, you know, help you get your game out there. So just little things like that to, again, further your project in a way that's not as technical and not as like hyper-focused and not as mental. It's a bit more of a creative effort. Final idea is that you can join something that I started around this time last year, is the 100 Days of Game Dev Challenge. And it's meant to be a soft challenge. It's not about having 100 days of game dev in a row, but it's just every time you do at least 5 minutes of game dev in a day, you add that day to your streak. So you can take breaks and whatever you need, but your goal is to reach 100 days of game development. And so I started a Discord server last year called the Game Dev Friends Club, which was the space to hold this challenge. And the challenge has been going on continuously basically since then. We still have people joining every week and starting the challenge whenever they feel like it. And I have a specific channel where you can post your daily update and people see what everyone's working on. You can react to each other's posts, you can chat about it, and just generally like interact with the community about the stuff you're working on. So if you feel like joining, it's always open. I put the link in the description below so you can join. And even if you don't want to join the challenge, but you want to take part in a community, again, community is another huge thing that can help with motivation. So feel free to join, you're always welcome. If you have any other ideas on motivation, or if you need assistance with your own unmotivated slump, you can just reach out in the comments below. Let's have a good little chat down there. And again, you're always welcome to join my Discord community as well. It's very positive and sweet and everyone's so kind, and I hope you come. You're very welcome. I also want to mention I have a Patreon, and if you like what I'm doing, you can support me there. The tiers are all very low. It's like $1, $3, and $5, and you get access to my close friends on Instagram to see what I'm working on before I release it on YouTube. You get your name in the credits of my videos, and you get a patron tag in my Discord channel, and also just more priority requests on videos and stuff like that if you have anything you want me to specifically share or talk about. So yeah, I would love it if you could support me there, and if not, that's totally fine, I understand. Okay, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, I hope you have a wonderful week and get outside and touch grass and smell the sun and look at leaves and enjoy this beautiful world. Okay, bye!